The Pomegranate Seed, Part 3, from the Tanglewood Tales. But Mother Ceres was a great way off and could not hear the cry. As they rode on, the stranger did his best to soothe her. "Why should you be so frightened, my pretty child?" said he, trying to soften his rough voice. "I promise not to do you any harm." "What? You have been gathering flowers! Wait till we come to my palace, and I will give you a garden full of prettier flowers than those, all made of pearls and diamonds and rubies. Can you guess who I am? They call my name Pluto, and I am the king of diamonds and of all other precious stones. Every atom of gold and silver that lies under the earth belongs to me, to say nothing of the copper and iron and all the coal mines which supply me with abundant fuel. Do you see this splendid crown upon my head? You may have it for a plaything. Oh, we shall be good friends, and you will find me more agreeable than you expect when once we get out of this troublesome sunshine." "Let me go home!" cried Persephone. "Let me go home!" "My home is better than your mother's," answered King Pluto. "It is a palace, all made of gold with crystal windows, and because there is little or no sunshine thereabouts, the apartments are illuminated with diamond lamps. You never saw anything half so magnificent as my throne. If you like, you may sit down on it and be my little queen, and I will sit on the footstool." "I don't care for golden palaces and thrones," sobbed Persephone. "Oh, my mother, carry me back to my mother." But King Pluto, as he called himself, only shouted to his steeds to go faster. "Pray do not be foolish, Persephone," said he in a rather sullen tone. "I offer you my palace and my crown and all the riches that are under the earth. And you treat me as if I were doing you an injury. The one thing which my palace needs is a merry little maid to run upstairs and down and cheer up the rooms with her smile. And this is what you must do for King Pluto." "Never!" answered Persephone, looking as miserable as she could. "I shall never smile again till you set me down at my mother's door." But she might just as well have talked to the wind that whistled past them, for Pluto urged on his horses and went faster than ever. Persephone continued to cry out and scream so long and so loudly that her poor little voice was almost screamed away, and when it was nothing but a whisper, she happened to cast her eyes over a great broad field of waving grain. And whom do you think she saw? Who but Mother Ceres, making the corn grow and too busy to notice the golden chariot as it went rattling along. The child mustered all her strength and gave one more scream, but was out of sight before Ceres had time to turn her head. King Pluto had taken a road which now began to grow excessively gloomy. It was bordered on each side with rocks and precipices, between which the rumbling of the chariot wheels were reverberated with a noise like rolling thunder. The trees and bushes that grew in the crevasses of the rocks had very dismal foliage, and by, although it was hardly noon, the air became obscured with a gray twilight. The black horses had rushed along so swiftly that they were already beyond the limits of the sunshine. But the duskier it grew, the more did Pluto's visage assume an air of satisfaction. After all, he was not an ill-looking person, especially when he left off twisting his features into a smile that did not belong to them. Persephone peeped at his face through the gathering dusk and hoped that he might not be so very wicked as she at first thought him. "Ah, this twilight is truly refreshing," said King Pluto, "after being so tormented with that ugly and impertinent glare of the sun. How much more agreeable is lamplight or torchlight, more particularly when reflected from diamonds. It will be a magnificent sight when we get to my palace." "Is it much farther?" asked Persephone. "And will you carry me back when I have seen it?" "We will talk of that by and by," answered Pluto. "We are just entering my dominions. Do you see the tall gateway before us? When we pass those gates, we are at home, and there lies my faithful mastiff at the threshold. Cerberus! Cerberus! Come hither, my good dog. So saying, Pluto pulled at the reins and stopped the chariot right between the tall, massive pillars of the gateway. The mastiff of which he had spoken got up from his threshold and stood on his hinder legs so as to put his forepaws on the chariot wheel. But my stars, what a strange dog it was! Why, he was a big, rough, ugly-looking monster with 3 separate heads, and each of them fiercer than the 2 others. But fierce as they were, King Pluto patted them all. He seemed as fond of his 3-headed dog as if it had been a sweet little spaniel with silken ears and curly hair. Cerberus, on the other hand, was evidently rejoiced to see his master and expressed his attachment, as other dogs do, by wagging his tail at a great rate. Persephone's eyes, being drawn to it by its brisk motion, saw that his tail was neither more nor less than a live dragon with fiery eyes and fangs that had a very poisonous aspect. And while the 3-headed Cerberus was fawning so lovingly on King Pluto, there was the dragon tail wagging against its will and looking as cross and ill-natured as you can imagine, on its own separate account. Will the dog bite me? Asked Persephone, shrinking closer to Pluto. What an ugly creature he is. Oh, never fear, answered her companion. He never harms people, unless they try to enter my dominions without being sent for, or to get away when I wish to keep them here. Down, Cerberus. Now, my pretty Persephone, we will drive on. On went the chariot, and King Pluto seemed greatly pleased to find himself once more in his own kingdom. He drew Persephone's attention to the rich veins of gold that were to be seen among the rocks, and pointed to several places where one stroke of a pickaxe would loosen a bushel of diamonds. All along the road, indeed, there were sparkling gems, which would have been of inestimable value above the ground, but which were here reckoned of the meaner sort, and hardly worth a beggar's stooping for. Not far from the gateway, they came to a bridge which seemed to be built of iron. Pluto stopped the chariot and bade Persephone look at the stream which was gliding so lazily beneath them. Never in her life had she beheld so torpid, so black, so muddy-looking a stream. Its waters reflected no images of anything that was on the banks, and it moved as sluggishly as if it had quite forgotten which way it ought to flow, and had rather stagnant than flow either one way or the other. This is the river Lethe, observed King Pluto. Is it not a very pleasant stream? I think it a very dismal one, said Persephone. It suits my taste, however, answered Pluto, who was apt to be sullen when anybody disagreed with him. At all events, its water has one very excellent quality, for a single draught of it makes people forget every care and sorrow that has hitherto tormented them. Only sip a little of it, my dear Persephone, and you will instantly cease to grieve for your mother, and will have nothing in your memory that can prevent your being perfectly happy in my palace. I will send for some in a golden goblet the moment we arrive. Oh, no, 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 cried Persephone, weeping afresh. I had 1,000 times rather be miserable with remembering my mother than be happy in forgetting her. That dear, dear mother. I never, never will forget her. We shall see, said King Pluto. You do not know what fine times we will have in my palace. Here we are, just at the portal. These pillars are solid gold, I assure you. He alighted from the chariot and, taking Persephone in his arms, carried her up a lofty flight of steps into the great hall of the palace. It was splendidly illuminated by means of large precious stones of various hues, which seemed to burn like so many lamps and glowed with 100-fold radiance all through the vast apartment. And yet there was a kind of gloom in the midst of this enchanted light, nor was there a single object in the hall that was really agreeable to behold, except the little Persephone herself, a lovely child with one earthly flower which she had not let fall from her hand. It is my opinion that even King Pluto had never been happy in his palace, and that this was the true reason why he had stolen away Persephone, in order that he might have something to love, instead of cheating his heart any longer with this tiresome magnificence. And though he pretended to dislike the sunshine of the upper world, yet the effect of the child's presence, bedimmed as she was by her tears, was as if a faint and watery sunbeam had somehow or other found its way into the enchanted hall. Pluto now summoned his domestics and bade them lose no time in preparing a most sumptuous banquet, and above all things, not to fail of setting a golden beaker of water of Lethe by Persephone's plate. "I will neither drink that nor anything else," said Persephone, "nor will I taste a morsel of food, even if you keep me forever in your palace." And I think we're going to pause here and continue with part 4 in the next video. Thank you so much for listening. Hey, I hope you've clicked like, and I hope you've subscribed to our channel. And please leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. Hey, always remember, I love you guys. As Tigger says, ta-ta for now.